Good morning and welcome back to Japan Soul Traveler. Today I think I want to introduce a topic that I loved, studied and analyzed in a lot of way. So I think today we're gonna talk about death. This may seem a very strange choice given the fact that, well, it's not such a pleasant topic to talk about, and sometimes it can be considered a little dark and a little sad topic to talk about. The thing is, in Japan this is a quite significant topic, and especially today in the pop culture and movies and manga or anime, I mean all around Japanese culture from medieval times and up until today, death is a big deal. In particular, I refer to all that horror movie trend or spirit fascination or ghost stories or haunted places that you can find wherever you go in Japan, from Tokyo to the north, it doesn't matter. So I think it can be an interesting topic to face, and not so dark as it might seem, or at least also charming and a little fascinating in a way. So the first thing that I feel it's important to say is that death it's not the same in every culture, and it's not the same in every place around the world. For example, when we talk about death, we tend to consider a specific moment, so the moment of death and the instant in which the person is medically declared dead. In Japan it's not always like that, and mostly there is another approach to death, because while we have the moment of death, in Japan death is a process. We saw that in the previous video about ancestor, and again it is important because we have cats. It is important because the fact that it is a process, it allows for movements in a way. So while in our culture, maybe in a more Catholic background or Christian background for the matters, there is a more clean division, and once you are on the other side, you stay there basically immediately after death. In Japan it's not so neat. And there are movements, and also there are different notions of what's after. So one of the first questions is, what happens after death? And is there a soul? And if so, is there a place there where the soul goes for the rest of the existence? Well, as usual, when we talk about Japan, the situation is a little more complex than you expected. So yes, there is a soul, the soul of the dead, that, as we mentioned previously, begins this very long journey towards the other world and towards the ancestor society. So again, the process is very important here, and it's a long process because it covers around 30 years. So the images of the other world, where the soul dwell, it's various, and there are a lot of different influences. One of the first description or images of the other world is from the mythology, from Kojiki, and is this image connected to the episode of the death of Izanami, who was the first kami, the first mother of all beings, and along with Izanagi they were the first divine couple. So as the legend goes, Izanami dies and went in the other world, which is a dark place, not so defined place. We just know that it's a very dark cave in a way. It's underground, and it's a place of sadness in a way. So while the myth goes on with the fight between Izanami and Izanagi, and in a way the goddess becomes the symbol of death, we have a first division of the world in 3 dimensions, which are on top the world of the kami, and then we have the world of the living, human beings and animals and everything that is alive. And then we have under that the world of the dead, which is Yomi no Kumi, this very unpleasant place, this very sad and dark place. There is another description that is, I think it's a little more felt, a little more spread around local beliefs. And again, it's like it's a way to describe the world of the living, of the dead, and of the kami on the same line, like living on the same surface and occupying different space along this line. So in this belief, the world of the dead is not placed above or under our, but in a way it's like it's next to our. So in this image, the world of the dead is not far away, it's very close to ours, and in a way it allows the communication between the living and the dead. So in this second image there are several influences. Of course, the Shinto image of an omnipresent spirituality is very important in this notion, and it interacts with some beliefs of Buddhist origin like Amida, Pure Land. This world of the dead in the second image is always located in two different places. It depends. It can be beyond the sea, like the Pure Land, so it's a magic place beyond the horizon, from which from time to time ancestors come back, and they are called also Marebito, but the notion is very similar, and it's a way to consider the possibility that supernatural powers sometimes around the year come back and offer gifts to the human world. Aside from this image connected to the ocean and the world of water, the most popular one, perhaps all over Japan, is the image of the mountain. So the mountain is like a very spiritual place, a place that is not very comfortable for human beings. In fact, traditionally people were not allowed to climb mountains because mountains were the land of the spiritual world, of the kami, but also of the dead, of everything that was not human. So it was the place for powerful presence of uncontrollable elements that human being could not, in fact, deal with. This is an image of the dead in which they are very close, yet they are not allowed to enter in contact with very often. The mountain is very important even because it allows for the proliferation of very interesting and different legends about this grey area between the living and the dead. When you talk about ghosts, and you talk about vengeful spirits, and you talk, for example, about yurei, yokai, all these entities that in a way do not belong to our world, but they don't belong exclusively to the spiritual dimension because they want to interact with us. So the mountain is the border, and in particular that line, the space between the village and the mountain, that it's called Satoyama. It's the real ground in which the meeting can be achieved, and where in fact the people and the dead can encounter, willing or not. This is the place where you see kitsune and you see the tengu that perhaps kidnap young boys and take them to the mountains, and it's a place where you see shamans talking and walking with the spirits, and this is a place where in fact there is a lot of fluidity between the two worlds, and where it is better not to walk alone because it's a place of powers that cannot be controlled. This was a very brief introduction to the topic, and there is a lot more to say about it, and I can't wait to share with you some more some more tips about this notion. For example, about yurei. We hear about them all over Japanese movies and mangas, and maybe it's interesting to know who they are, why they are so scary, and what's the difference between them and yokai. They are often confused. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it could be interesting for you to keep the conversation on about this. So thanks for watching, and I talk to you soon. Bye.